You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast. I am Jim Coppinger with Zentech Consultants, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, kind of the evil overlord of Zentech Consultants, Mr. Rocco Parisi.
Hello, fine people.
All the fine people. We also have a very special guest in the studio with us today. We have George Ogorodnik, our solutions engineer on the manufacturing side. He's our subject matter expert in all things manufacturing related, which is why we wanted him here today. Thanks for joining us, George.
How's it going, Jim? It's nice to be back on here with you guys.
Good. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, George.
He was talking to me. He wasn't talking to you, Rocco. He's not at all happy to be on the air with you.
He did say you guys. There's an S at the end of what he said.
All right, he was just being polite.
That is true.
We all know
say
it.
That.
All right, so maybe it's nice to have Rocco around too. I'll give you that one. All right, so today, we're talking about building product manufacturing, hence the reason we have George on, and getting your products easily specified and ordered, right? So, I think this is a really important, but it's a very often overlooked area of the design build world, right? And that is our BPMs, as we tend to call them, right? Building product manufacturers. These are the folks who develop, make, and sell the products that we all use in the construction and design process, right? We're talking about just about every item in the design world, right? From, the gate valves that you put into your water lines to the lighting fixtures in your buildings, your windows, even AC units, doors, windows. Somebody makes those things, right? And those are the BPMs, right? And BPMs are a vital aspect of every single building project that you do, but they're often forgotten in any type of discussion about this industry, right? About the design and CAD and construction world. And I'm guessing, it's because we use the word manufacturing in their title. We tend to think of them in that space, right? But they're not just manufacturers; they're really a hybrid, right? They're straddling both the manufacturing space and the construction world. And that's why we wanted to have George in as our guest today, because he's kind of a hybrid himself, right? He handles both of those worlds for us here at Zentech. So, George, let's start with this, right? So I know you've done a good bit of work, right, with the building product manufacturing crowd. How much of what these clients of ours, how much of what they do is manufacturing based versus how much of it do you see is focused on presenting to or trying to integrate with the design build process?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. So, as a CAD guy myself, coming from a huge mechanical background with AutoCAD and Inventor, SolidWorks, I'm used to seeing the kind of environment that a person that does any sort of design specification is used to seeing. But what I've come to realize, as I've worked a lot of these BPM projects, is there's a lot more to it than CAD. And believe it or not, CAD has a very steep learning curve. There's a reason people go to school for 4 years to just to learn AutoCAD.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's a lot of people that work in BPM that don't need to know CAD and don't know it. So whenever you hand someone a CAD drawing with some very specific symbols with these blocks, they don't know what to do with it. So it's always good to have this sort of hybrid system that allows someone who's not CAD oriented to be able to comprehend it and use it.
Right. Yeah, it's about trying to take it down. Like I said, there's a lot of people who get involved in that whole process from manufacturing through final construction, right? There are salespeople, there are distributors, there are presenters, there are purchasing agents, right? And as George said, right, a lot of those guys, they're not designers, they're not engineers, they don't know CAD from a hole in a wall. And really that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this topic today. We've seen a really marked increase recently in the number of our BPM clients who are moving to actively integrate their product lines more into those people and the design processes that go with them. And what I mean by that is that they're actively pursuing ways to put their products that they're manufacturing directly into the hands of architects and engineering firms, but more importantly, like George was saying, those people who aren't necessarily licensed professionals, right? The contractors, the GCs, the salespeople, the people who actually buy and install their products, right? So the building product manufacturers have been finding some really creative ways of getting their projects kind of engaged and specified into the design and bid processes as early as possible. And we're going to talk about today some of the ways that we've been working with them to do that in this podcast. So Rocco, let's bring you in on the conversation so you don't feel lonely and left out. How big of a discussion point is this for the clients that you deal with? I mean, is this topic coming up a lot in your conversation with the BPMs and the manufacturing clients in general?
Yeah, it does. It does come up quite often, and to tie into what you guys were saying, I mean, their customers are really looking to integrate a lot more people into the process, and so they're looking for a lot more automation behind what they're behind the selection of their products, and so they want it to be fast and efficient and easy for folks to use, and that's why part of our processes help to automate that process.
Right. Yeah. Automation. Yeah. And exactly. And I think the key with that, right? Automation. It's great to have one thing. Like I said, if you're working in a CAD world, you can automate with people who know CAD. And I think they're looking for being able to automate and simplify things for people who don't really need an extensive amount of training. Something that's more in the realm of the point and click kind of structure. I think that's a great point. So all right. So George, right? The traditional process for specifying a product on any kind of a design build project has, it's you get your salespeople to go and do presentations in front of engineers and such, right? You show them the benefits of your specific product and why they should, spec and buy yours. And in the last few years, I think, some of the bigger manufacturers have even provided, CAD-based files for the engineers, right? Once they've decided to use a specific product, right? You can go online and you can download from BIM libraries and so on. So that's kind of where we've been. So let me ask you this: what do you see changing today? What's changing now, right? At what level are these BPMs trying to get their product into the specification process?
Yeah. So, and this again goes back to what I said about not everybody using CAD. A lot of these products created, a lot of these drawings made with CAD, when they get sent around, they get sent in a way that other people can read them. Since not everybody has AutoCAD, they can't all open DWG drawing files, for example. So what ends up happening is universally when these documents get distributed, they usually get distributed in PDF format, and everybody can open PDF. You don't even need a program installed to open PDF. Most internet browsers can open it for you.
Right.
So yeah, it brings in the simplicity to help communicate between these two very different production groups that need to be able to communicate together. It's like that old comic about the customer wanted a swing, but this is how the sales team described it. This is what it was actually built.
Yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, and that's absolutely perfect. That's exactly how it works, right? And like I say, the PDF is a great example. It's common format, everybody can open it, but the thing with it is that it's kind of static information. You know what I mean? It's great, it's useful, you can get it around, but people can't alter or modify that. It keeps going back to the engineers and the CAD people and the design people to make any changes or alterations. Which leads me to, I think, my big point here is, one of the big things that I've seen in this space is the move to give the ability to choose the products, right? Specify the products, do the design layout. directly into the hands of the project owners, the owner's rep, the GCs, right, the purchasing agents, right? And exactly as you said, George, right? The issue is that, a lot of those people just don't have CAD knowledge, or they may not even have a CAD system installed, right, that they can use for that type of work. So most of the BPMs that I work with are, they're looking to make choosing and specifying and laying out their products a simple, integrated process. And they're seeing a dramatic sales increase when non-CAD and non-design professionals can actually, choose and place those products directly onto the plans and the PDFs with simple point-and-click access tools that don't require real expensive software and, like you said, 4 years of training and design. All right, and listen, that's not to say that there's no place in this for the CAD tools. Those are still a vital component on the design side, right? But it's about putting this stuff, in a more simplified version for less technically inclined end users, right? Because sales go up dramatically when they can do that. So George, let me ask you this. In terms of use, right, what do you think is having more of an impact on projects right now? Do you think it's the CAD-based tools, the BIM libraries, and so on? Or do you think simpler symbology tools for basic layout and model choices in the PDFs, like you were saying, are having more of an impact today?
So we're definitely seeing a pretty significant uptick in people using those the simpler PDF based tools. Mostly because, and again, it just goes back to having the ability to perform one specific task or a small group of specific tasks and being able to do it well and correctly each time. It's like the reason that Apple products are so popular is because they focus on simplicity and the user experience.
Right.
As someone who's a technical person like myself, I don't like that. I'd like the flexibility to be able to control every aspect of what I'm doing, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people prefer it to just work and for them to not have to troubleshoot and solve problems.
Right. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, right? You're an engineer and a tech guy. This is the world that we live in and we love, right? That's why we do it. But, other people work and do other things. They're salespeople or representatives or GCs. They want to focus on what they know and love and not the tech side. So that makes perfect sense. So, all right, good. So I think at that point we're gonna break here to catch a little message from today's sponsor, and we will be back in just a few minutes with more of the Cattle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call podcast. I missed the button that played the moo sound there. Yeah, I'm a knucklehead. All right, so welcome back. So today we're talking with George Ogorodnik. He's one of our Zentech Solutions engineers, and we're talking about building product manufacturers and the new types of tools that they're using to get their products, spec'd and laid out and put into use really on construction projects. So before we get back into the conversation, I wanted to throw some numbers for you guys to consider on this topic. All right. So, based on data that I picked up off the webs there from, Persistence Research and the U.S. Department of Labor and thebalance.com, right? Here's some things to keep in mind when we're talking about building product manufacturing, all right? So the U.S. building products market was $12.4 billion, with a B, dollars just last year. That's a lot of money, right? The Asia Pacific building products market was 14.2. So Asia is actually doing a lot more in terms of the building product manufacturing than even the U.S. and North America is. BPM sales are expected to grow between 4.4 and 6.8% annually over each of the next 4 years. That's a pretty substantial uptick. That's close to an additional $1 billion a year over the next 4 years. Manufactured products account for 11.6% of the total U.S. economy. This is a major player in the U.S. economy. This is not some small, we can ignore it type of scenario. We're talking about, BPMs are big money and big business in this industry. There are 12.85 million people who work in this industry in the U.S. Okay, that is 8.5% of the country's total workforce. A lot of people involved in the building product manufacturing space, right? And 43% of all manufacturing in the United States relates to the building process in some way. Right? That's a massive amount of number. That's a huge market that we're talking about. And that's why I want to make sure that, when we're doing these discussions on the design build world, we don't forget the BPMs, because they are vital to everything we do. So let's switch back here, George, to you here. And so obviously this is a huge industry that we're dealing with. But a lot of them, they're really struggling to get their specific products placed and used. So what have you been working with, here at Zentech to help BPM simplify the product selection and layout process?
So pretty much all of my projects that I've had with Bluebeam and these building product management tool sets, the one main thing that they have in common is that doesn't matter which branch of the BPM industry that you're in, you're always going to be in a situation where you have some sort of library of parts, tools, equipment, anything like that, and you're going to be deploying it in various different locations. So that's easy to do in pretty much any drawing software. Like, you can do that in MS Paint if you wanted. But the problem with that is, how are you going to track all of that? If you just go and copy paste a bunch of symbols representing all of your instances, what's the basis there? You're not going to be able to go in there and manually count every single one of those things. And if you want to find a specific tool, there's no way you'll be able to identify one from the other. There's no background data about the symbology,
right.
But Bluebeam has the capability to do that.
Yeah,
and through the use of custom columns, which we'll get into in a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so and like I said, it has been a big thing here, right? Working in building those custom tool sets, because it does give you kind of a preset catalog, so to speak, of symbols that represent each of your product items that you can just kind of drop onto PDFs, right? And like you said, PDFs are the be-all, end-all of this scenario. Gives you something simple to work with those in a reusable, easy to work with tool set. So, I mean, in all honesty, right, the growth of BPMs pushing their products into these simplified selection tools for PDFs, things like that, is really the fastest growing area of development that we've seen over the last few years. I think, while there is a huge market for development of the 3D BIM model, right, for the industry in terms of components and products. I think that the people in the BPM world are realizing, as we were saying, right, that those tools are only usable by a very limited set of people, just design professionals. They're the only one who can really access those. And I think what they're looking for are tools like you've been building in Bluebeam that less technically inclined people can handle to select and design the products and lay them out without a lot of training, without a lot of headaches, right? That concept of point, click, easy. Anybody can do it. And like I said, the CAD side, still very important. And we do, a lot of work around helping BPM clients develop both, 2D and 3D CAD-based, product components. But I really have seen the biggest growth in, what you were saying, George, in this industry, moving outside the CAD environment and more into what's going to work best in that PDF, right? That we're distributing out to everybody. So Rocco, is that really just my personal impression? I mean, or are you actually seeing this when you're talking to clients? Is getting their product into, or products really, into more user-friendly formats really growing in importance?
No, you're insane, James.
Okay, that's pretty much what I thought. I just point out that you accidentally called me by your wife's name, and you just called your wife nuts, and it's recorded. And I know she listens to this podcast, so you are in so much trouble. I love it.
No, there is. It is an important factor. We definitely see customers that are looking for ways to automate it, and we have a solution in helping customers work with Bluebeam and CAD. Is it the only solution out there? I'm sure that it's not, but we're the best, so you should definitely contact us.
There you go. That works. So that yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all right. So now shift to George then and say, so if we can all agree that, right, getting into tools like Bluebeam is an important process, right, for the BPMs. What are the key benefits of moving to a system like Bluebeam or a similar system for that point and click access, right? What do the building product manufacturers get in that type of system that goes beyond just simple symbols? So like you said, right, you could technically just do the symbols from any program, Paint, or just draw little marks or red line things with a million different programs. Why something like Bluebeam?
So, yeah, the main draw to this sort of structure is the data behind these symbols, which is why a lot of the time people are forced to use CAD, because CAD offers that functionality, and again, not everybody can use CAD, so they have to either adapt, or they can pick up a product like Bluebeam. And besides that tracking system where every single symbol, every single item that you place has a set of data associated with it, you can modify every part of that data. There's some standardized parameters that you can program into Bluebeam, or you can customize every single one of those parameters and assign specific values that only make sense for that one particular product. So, in other words, you can basically have it do pretty much anything that you want. You can have any sort of data show up in your tools.
Right. Yeah, so and that's where I think a lot of people are really seeing the benefit in that industry, right? They're able to tie in with each tool the make, the model, the manufacturing number, the SKU number, hyperlinks to things like, the drawing, or actually not the drawing spec, but, the cut sheets, the specifications, the installation manuals. If you want to do unit pricing and costs, and is it a left-handed or a right-handed installation? Literally, what color, what finish, what mounting bracket does it need? You can attach all of that data so that people just drop the symbol, and then on the bottom of the screen they can just go, and it's this, 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 and this. There you go. I've selected everything I need. I've done the design with just drop a symbol, tell them what I want, and then they can generate from that, legends and bills of materials and everything else they need very, very quickly, very, very easily. So huge benefits along that line. And I think that, one of the other big benefits that I've seen in working these types of tools, right, these installable tool sets for systems like Bluebeam, that in general puts this type of work a step above CAD-based symbols, is that you can very easily develop executable, simple exe files that you can host on your company's website. Okay, this lets end users real easily go in and download and install your entire catalog of products in just seconds into a program like Bluebeam, and have that be reusable and accessible for every project that client's going to do moving forward. Okay, so that is a far step above searching online databases for a specific part that someone's already chosen, and then importing them one at a time into your Revit model on every single job. Like I said, the whole purpose here is that as a BPM, you're really looking to get your products selected, specified, and built right into the initial design right? And I think that's going to be a lot simpler for you to accomplish if the tools that you give your potential clients are simpler to use, right? If they have your lighting catalog as simple symbols that they get everything right at their fingertips, they just point, they click, and they're specifying your product without searching or doing anything, then that is what they're going to do the design with, right? Human beings always take the simplest path. And that means if it's already on their computer and it's easy to use and they've used it on 4 other jobs, that's what they're going to use on this job, right? So, to kind of...
I got a quick question for you guys. So it's kind of a silly question, but how does the process of updating, let's say, or cleanup go with these kind of processes?
Yeah, I'll let George. You handle that from the tech side, George. Go to it.
I'm sorry, Rocco. Can you clarify that a little bit? Clean up what exactly?
Yeah. So if you have a big catalog of data, and a year from now you want to update it, how does that process work?
So it's pretty simple. It's basically just like updating an Excel database. You have the ability to search for particular products. You have the ability to look up based on any property that you might have assigned to these products. And all you have to do, if for example one product is now obsolete and has been replaced with another one, all you need to do is just update the data for that product, change the values in the custom column, or if the design of the symbol changed, the form factor changed, all you need to do is just redraw it and then place it back in, and everything else stays intact. All of the because the data, the data structure is not tied to the symbol; it's tied to the specific tool library. So you don't really need to redo that for every single tool whenever you have a change.
Right. Hmm. Yeah. So it makes it very easy, right, to just go in and like I said, just do, hey, we got a whole new product line. Let's add that. You can just tie that right in and distribute that. Either rebuild the executable for your whole catalog, or you can just break it down and do, specific installable files for individual product lines, and they can be updated and redistributed on the fly. So it's really very simple. It makes it a lot easier, right? And that's the key, right? So and that's how I'm going to kind of wrap us up here, I think, and sum it up, right? Getting with the idea of simple. I'll paraphrase one of my all-time favorite movies. If you make it simple, they will come. All right, there we go. So you guys, have anything else you want to throw in here before we wrap it up for today?
No, I'm good.
Good, George.
Yep, I think that pretty much covers it.
All right, so I want to thank you, George, for joining us again today, giving us some great information. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. It's been a pleasure once again.
Yeah, no problem. And I promise we will have you back on yet again whenever we get into the mechanical and manufacturing space. Other than that, thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast.